Hi guys, I am coming on here to do my birth story video. So my birth with Maya was it felt like the longest birth or it was the longest, and she was also our biggest, like I said. So I woke up probably starting like around like Wednesday, maybe the week, like the couple days before she was born, having contractions like randomly on and off all day. So I even maybe have been like that entire week, like the couple days leading up to her birth. I would have contractions. They were never consistent. They were intense, but they were never consistent. So I'm pretty sure I was in like pre-labor for like a couple days. Either that or my body was like getting ready. They were not Braxton Hicks anymore. They were legit contractions. Um, and I was in by I was just done by like Saturday morning, the 5th. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, and I woke up to a bunch of my mucus plug and blood coming out, and it was stringy, mucusy blood, and I was having contractions. So Dan and I got up. We got the pool, like we were just getting things ready, and then by around like 6:37, my contractions stopped and the bleeding stopped. I was pretty mad because I had been having these contractions, like I said, for days before this, and I thought for sure like it was going to happen Saturday. Well, it didn't, obviously, but I woke up, or no, we couldn't go back to sleep, so we just stayed awake. Like we were too, like our adrenaline was going. We were like, this is it. It was not it. We were a little early, but so we go to Dan's mom's house all day. All day, I'm bleeding on and off randomly. When I would wipe, there would be chunks of blood. There would be mucousy blood. There'd be blood on the pad. And I just felt off. Like my contractions kept coming, but they weren't regular. But they were intense. Like they were really uncomfortable. They were just not fun. Like I was just very uncomfortable. So I remember Dan and his brother and his parents were playing cornhole, and I had one really big, good one, and I said, Dan, we need to go home. Like, we need to go home. And that was around like 8, and we got home around 9:30. Uh, just, we weren't in a rush because my contractions weren't picking up, and I just was like, it's 30 minutes from home, so I'm just fine with it. So we got home, my contractions stopped. Actually, so before, let's back up. I called my midwives after dinner and was saying I'm bleeding, like all these things. And my midwives were Hannah and Abby. I called Abby. Well, actually, she called me because she's like, I don't want to text you anymore. I need to know, like, I need to hear it in your voice how you're feeling, and blah, blah, blah. And so I told her, and she said, it sounds like it's going to happen soon. Get walking, do the curb, do some exercises to get the contractions to be more consistent. She's like, but the amount of blood and mucus you're losing sounds like you're in early labor, or pre-early labor. And I said, okay. So we walked, and nothing. I mean, my contractions were happening, but they weren't consistent. I was exhausted by this time, by 9:30 at night when we got home. I just kind of played a little bit of The Sims on the computer, and I was almost in tears. I was like, I can't go through this for another day. I can't go through this for another week. I'm exhausted. My body is exhausted. I'm in a lot of, like, not pain, but I was just, my muscles were so tired from contracting for days at a time. And so we go to bed. I wake up around 11:30, and uh, I felt wet. So I get up and I look in my underwear, and there is a lot of blood. And when I peed, it started dripping out of me. Immediately, I took that as a sign, woke Dan up, called the midwives, started having contractions. They get here around 12:30. I believe it was 12:30. Yeah, I think it was 12:30. Because we went outside to start walking around 1:15. They get here, they check me. I was 3 centimeters, And with my history, they were like, we're not leaving. You're going to have a baby probably early morning. And I said, there's no way these contractions aren't consistent. And they were not worried about my contractions being consistent. They were just the fact that I could not be still. I was having a hard time breathing. I was in labor, and I wasn't accepting that because I had been in like that early pre-labor for so long. I was convinced there was no way I'm sorry, Maya's over there sleeping. There's no way I'm having this baby ever. Like, I thought she was going to stay in there for like the rest of her life. So we go walking around, and every 2 minutes my contractions would pick up, and I would start losing more chunks of blood and mucus. And I'm not saying like I was bleeding a lot. My midwives were not concerned with the amount of blood I was losing. It wasn't like a concerning amount. It was my cervix ripening. So it was my bloody show, but I was losing it throughout the whole day. Like, it was ridiculous. And so we walked up and down the street. I walked the curb, so doing that every 2 minutes, and they were intense. I was stopping, I was pulling on Dan, I was moaning, I was like bending over, I was like trying to get some type of comfort during these contractions, because at this point, they were real. Like, I was in labor, and I was not. Oh, great, she's pooping. I was not accepting it still. Come inside. We go lay down for a little bit. My midwives are on the couch. Hannah and Abby were just kind of like chilling out on the couch because they weren't leaving, and they were going to stay until we had this baby. And I was like kind of frustrated. I felt like I was wasting their time and everything, but they were convinced. They convinced me that this was it. I was having a baby, whether or not I was accepting it or not. And we laid down, and I could not get comfortable. The contractions were so intense. Never in my back. I don't have back labor or anything like that. It's all in my stomach. And I had a lot of pressure, more bleeding, and I just could not get comfortable. I got up. I woke Diana up around 4:15. I said, let's go walk a little bit more. So we walked, and my contractions once again every 2 minutes. But besides the every 2 minutes, my contractions were never like 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes. They were never like, they went down to 5 minutes, and then they'd shoot up to 8 minutes, and then they'd shoot down to 4 minutes, and then they'd shoot up to 6 minutes, and then they never were consistent unless I was walking or moving. I went up and down the stairs a couple times, and they were like boom, boom, like just moving made my contractions pick up. So we go outside, we walk, we come back inside around 4:15-ish, and at this point I am almost in tears. I had been up for almost 24 hours, and no naps, because I was up Saturday at 5:30 when this all started, and it was 4:15 Sunday. Right? That's 24 hours? Goodness, girl. Goodness. And Abby had me on my hands and knees, and they took a wrap around my belly, and they pulled her up and tried to get her down, so I was moving like this, because Maya still had not dropped into my pelvis. She was high up the entire time. Like, she never dropped, which I have never heard of that happening, or had it happen to me. Both girls dropped before they were born, and Maya never did. So that was that. And then we did that exercise a couple times on my hands and knees during contractions. Nothing. They had me do this forward leaning inversion, where my knees were right here on the couch, and I was leaning on my elbows over the couch. Well, it made my contractions stop. Like, I had one contraction, they helped me lean over, and it stopped. My contraction just stopped. But it took a lot of pressure. It was a lot for me to do that exercise. I was exhausted, you guys. I was so exhausted. And so we did it once, and I was just done. I was not convinced. I was beat down. And then I had another I started feeling like a contraction, and I went to get up like this, and I felt this little flick inside of me in my vagina, and I felt like I had just jumped in water. Um, like it from my vagina down all the way down my legs. I was wearing my pajama pants. And I said, "Oh, my water broke, my water broke." And as soon as my water broke, I had a big contraction. I couldn't move, and Hannah went and got the pool ready. She dumped all the boiling water in there to get the water heated back up. And Abby basically pulled me because I was so physically exhausted. Like I was shaking by the time it was time for me to get in the pool because my muscles were exhausted, my legs were tired. I was mentally just done. And once my water broke, I knew, okay, this baby's coming. Like, this is it. Finally. Um, and so we get me in the pool, and Dan goes and wakes up Victoria. And so they had me check myself, and by this time it was around, I don't even know what time I got in the pool, but oh, let me look, because Dan texted the birth photographer, and she didn't make it in time, which that was kind of my last thing. Like, it wasn't really. It's happening at 5:30, so I got in the pool before 5:30, so it had to have been around 5-ish, maybe. I don't honestly remember, but that's when I was already in the pool when Dan texted the midwife, or the birth photographer, so I was already in the pool at 5:30. Or maybe I was getting in, I don't know. Either way, she was born at 5:57, so literally my water broke at 5, I remember this, and she was born at 5:57. I probably, they had me check myself, so when I checked myself, I could feel her head right here. Right here. And she was still high up. And Abby told me, every time you have a contraction and feel the need to push, you need to bring her down. Tell yourself to bring her down. And so that's what I did. I had one contraction, and I have pictures on my phone I'll probably insert here, maybe, of me being in the position where I'm on my knees and I'm leaning over the birth tub. Well, that position was excruciatingly uncomfortable for me. It wasn't painful. It just was not the position I knew I could push this baby out in. It was not. It was going to take more out of me in that position versus a position I knew that was comfortable for me, which was just leaning back against something with my legs open. And that's how I birthed all three girls. So we did that. I checked myself. She was still high up. Still, contractions were not close together. I had good breaks in between them, and then I had one contraction, and I was getting ready that pressure in my butt really was going. The next contraction, I said, I need to push. And so they said, push, and I pushed, and she was still high up. And every contraction, Abby had me check. She was still high up. She was not coming down, and I was really frustrated at this point. I was like, what is going on? And then I pushed again, and I could feel it. I could feel her head slide down into my pelvis, and then it was just contraction. I don't even think I had a break in contractions at that point, because I remember having to and then push again, because the contractions were they were nonstop at this point. It honestly felt like a whole minute of contractions and pushing, because she was coming down and out, and I was pushing, and I remember feeling her head, and it just felt like she was stuck. Like, I couldn't get her out. She just felt harder to get out than the other two, and she's the biggest, so that's probably why. I'm not used to having 8-pound babies. So she came out in one massive push. Like, never had a break of pushing. I was pushing the entire time, that whole, 2 minutes. And Tori caught her and put her on my chest, and that was it. She was born at 5:57, 8 pounds, 21 inches long, and my recovery was amazing. There's like a fly. My recovery was amazing. I'm doing really good. I am 1 week and 2 days postpartum, and Maya is 1 week and 2 days old. So everything was really good. I love my midwives. They just came and checked on us today for our like 2 week checkup or whatever. And she's doing great. She's doing good. We're doing good. My breastfeeding is going great. Everything's good. And Valerie got to cut the cord. So recovery, it was just great to go to the pool. And then when you were done with the pool, I delivered the placenta in my bed. And after I delivered the placenta, we woke Valerie up, and so she could meet Maya. And then she cut the cord, like after all the blood had been drained from the placenta to Maya. And so it was just kind of like we told Valerie, you're giving Maya her belly button. And so now whenever we look at her belly button, Valerie's like, I did that, I gave you that. And it's just really sweet to like, explain like the placenta, and that's how we get our belly buttons. She was attached to mommy that way and all this stuff. So I think my home birth went amazing. It was really good. It was long, my longest labor ever, and I don't. When I go into labor, I usually have a baby within like that day. Not with this one. This one was a little bit rougher. Maybe it was normal. I don't remember, honestly. I really don't. It just felt longer because I had been in like the pre-labor for so long, for like a week before I was having intense contractions and all this stuff. Anyways, but yeah, everything was really good. Baby, me, dad, Dan was amazing. He was an amazing birth partner. Oh my gosh, he was amazing. He was more hands-on this pregnancy or this labor than he was the other two, because with the other two, I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to touch anybody. I wanted to do it myself. This one, I leaned on him a lot for the support. I felt like because we were so much like stronger in our marriage and relationship now versus when we first had like Tori. We only were together for like a year before we had Tori. Whereas now we've been together for almost 10 years, and we've grown a lot in those 10 years. And so I leaned on him in a ton of support with this one, and he did amazing. He was absolutely amazing. He cried with all three of them. But anyways, that's my birth story. She came out everything looks good with her. She's great. She's a really good baby. But anyways, that's my birth story. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. It's already Tuesday. I'm like so thrown off by what day it is. You guys, I have no idea how tired I am. I mean, you probably do, but I don't even know what day it is. Anyways, this video is so long. I will talk to you guys later.